For years, Elon Musk operated above politics, a tech sovereign straddling nations, ideologies, even branches of government. But now, he's made enemies on both sides of the aisle, and the fallout is shaking the foundations of his empire. This isn't just a feud, it's a full-spectrum corporate crisis, one that touches every stakeholder: investors, regulators, engineers, customers, even our national security. Welcome to the new front line in American capitalism, where AI meets ideology, and survival means choosing your enemies carefully.
The focus on XAI. First of all, you spoke earlier about wanting more control at Tesla. Would you ever consider merging XAI into Tesla? It would be a way, obviously, they could issue shares to you and conceivably would increase your overall economics. Is that a possibility?
Well, I guess anything's possible, but it would be difficult to speculate about something. Tesla's a publicly traded stock, so.
It is. I would think to get a majority of the minority vote or whatever you might need might be not easy.
Yeah. It's not out of the question, but that would have to be something that the Tesla shareholders would want to vote for. So.
Understood. So, but it's not something you're thinking about doing.
It's not currently. There are no plans to do so.
Right.
It's not out of the question, but obviously would require Tesla shareholder support for that.
Another way you could obviously increase your control would be to get that comp plan passed in Delaware, or through the Delaware Supreme Court, or a new one. You haven't been paid, I believe, since 2018.
Yeah.
So where are you
7
on?
years.
Yeah, where are you on?
7 years with zero pay.
Although, to be fair, if it goes through, you're going to have an enormous,
it'll be
enormous payday. It'll be fine. It'll be more money than anybody's ever made.
Yeah, I suppose so. But I mean, let's just say that if any CEO of the Fortune 500 were to agree to a plan like the one that I agreed to, you should buy the stock of that company immediately.
Yeah, no, I remember it at the time. To be fair, the stock was so far, the targets were so far above where the stock was, and obviously they were met.
Yes.
Is the board working to your knowledge on another potential plan if, in fact, the one never gets out of Delaware, the Supreme Court rules against the chancellor's ruling?
I mean, I don't want to speak on behalf of the board, but I'm sure it's on their mind. But I can't comment on Tesla board deliberations.
You said earlier, I mean, you want to stay as CEO. Why not? I've wondered, Elon, given all the heat you've gotten in a lot of ways, why not sort of become like an Ellison-like figure at Tesla? Obviously, you're a lot younger, but still, he's very influential at Oracle. But, he's not CEO and he doesn't get the attention.
He isn't the CEO?
No, he's not. Safra's the CEO.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. At least not in title. That's my point.
I think maybe a better term for. I'm a huge fan of Larry Ellison. He's a good friend of mine. Owner.
Say again?
Owner, I think, would be.
Yes.
He's the owner of Oracle.
Yes, he is. He has a lot of it.
Yeah.
Since the Musk-Trump feud went nuclear, investor sentiment has cratered, and not just in headlines, but in real portfolio risk. XAI valuation is down 23% in private secondary markets since April 2025, per data from Caplight and Forge Global. Once the hottest unicorn in frontier AI, XAI has seen liquidity tighten as major VC firms like Andreessen Horowitz and Sequoia delay planned liquidity events due to political uncertainty. SpaceX's $18 billion defense pipeline is now under Pentagon internal review. According to a May 2025 risk memo obtained by Bloomberg, Starlink's continued association with Elon Musk poses operational risk and reputation volatility to sensitive U.S. military missions, especially in Eastern Europe and Indo-Pacific theaters. Tesla's GOP-affiliated customer base, which accounts for approximately 38% of U.S. buyers, according to CarGurus's 2024 brand loyalty survey, has begun showing signs of attrition. DriveWealth reports a 16% increase in Tesla share divestment among retail investors in red states over the last 90 days. Axios poll shows GOP favorability toward Tesla has plummeted 34 points since 2022, now sitting at just 42%. Republican think tanks such as the Heritage Foundation have begun circulating white papers urging Congress to stop all federal EV subsidies to companies they label as politically rogue. Market analysts at Morgan Stanley recently downgraded Tesla from overweight to neutral, citing policy hostility risk and non-fundamental volatility drivers. Meanwhile, ARK Invest has cut its XAI exposure by 27%, according to recent 13F filings. Key questions facing investors. Will the SEC stonewall XAI's IPO amid antitrust heat and mounting pressure from both parties? Can Tesla maintain access to the $7,500 federal EV tax credit if red state governors move to decertify eligibility? Do SpaceX Starlink contracts contain hidden morality clauses that could void payments over public reputational damage? In D.C., the knives are out, and they're bipartisan. If Musk thought he could play both sides, he may now be learning the cost of political overexposure. Pentagon internal review now flags over $7 billion in SpaceX and XAI AI ISR contracts as high risk. Leaked March 2025 documents from the Defense Innovation Unit cite Musk's recent inflammatory comments on X and rising foreign market dependencies as grounds for strategic pause. 14 states, including Michigan, Nevada, and Texas, are actively re-evaluating Tesla's factory tax abatements and workforce grants. In Arizona, lawmakers introduced legislation to audit all Tesla subsidies since 2016. The FTC has accelerated its XAI antitrust probe, originally scheduled for 2026. A whistleblower leak suggests the agency is now collecting depositions from former Neuralink and Grok engineers, alleging monopolistic integration between hardware and software stacks. CHIPS Act 2.0 draft, leaked in May 2025 by The Intercept, contains language that explicitly excludes vertically integrated AI autonomous systems firms from receiving grants, a move clearly targeting XAI's Dojo program. Space Force procurement memos, reviewed by Politico, show a recommendation to diversify away from brittle single-source suppliers, with specific mentions of Starlink, suggesting a pivot toward Amazon's Kuiper system and defense-managed comms infrastructure. New bipartisan Senate bill, dubbed the Tech Neutrality and Patriot Vendor Act, proposes mandatory disclosure of political donations and executive social media behavior for companies bidding on federal contracts. Musk's X activity is expected to be a direct catalyst. Timeline analysis by Brookings shows growing bipartisan pushback since Q1 2024, beginning with Tesla's refusal to participate in union roundtables and culminating in Musk's public feud with President Trump in March 2025. The fallout isn't just strategic, it's personal. For employees inside Musk's empire, the pressure is mounting. Glassdoor complaints have surged 42% across Tesla, SpaceX, and XAI since June, with common themes including political instability, lack of leadership clarity, and internal moral conflict. Meta, OpenAI, and Google DeepMind are poaching aggressively. At least 12 senior researchers from XAI have been hired away in the last quarter, with Meta offering 2.5x RSU match packages and full remote options. The United Auto Workers UAW union is capitalizing on the moment. Organizers have seen a 300% increase in interest at Tesla factories in Austin and Fremont. Internal Slack messages leaked to Bloomberg reveal rising discontent among production line engineers. RSU values across Musk's companies are down 31% YTD. That's a real loss of wealth for employees, especially in a high cost of living context like Palo Alto or Boca Chica. Moral friction is rising. Some engineers are raising red flags internally about working on military-capable AI systems, especially given the current political climate. Several Slack screenshots reference dual-use discomfort. A Tesla whistleblower filed a report in May with the Department of Labor, citing a hostile environment driven by unresolved ethics conflicts. The report is under review, but it's already triggered new compliance training mandates. Employee attrition is spiking. XAI has lost 8% of its workforce since April. SpaceX's Florida launch team had 5 engineers resign in protest of rumored contract conditions with the Pentagon. Google Trends shows a spike in searches for Tesla layoff severance and SpaceX job reviews. That suggests morale deterioration across the board. In a consumer-driven economy, brand perception is the battlefield, and Tesla, xAI, and X are taking friendly fire from all sides. The political war between Elon Musk and Donald Trump isn't just making headlines, it's causing whiplash in boardrooms and dealerships across the country. Hertz freezes 100,000 Tesla order, citing reputational volatility and fleet asset risk. Hertz has paused its massive 100K Tesla fleet rollout. Internal memos leaked to CNBC show executives worried about Tesla's politicization damaging the brand's corporate sustainability narrative. Analysts estimate this freeze could result in a $1.2 billion dip in anticipated fleet sales over the next 2 quarters. GOP buyers, shifting to Rivian and Lucid. Motor Trend's Q2 sales tracking shows a 17% sales spike for Rivian and Lucid in traditionally red districts, as disillusioned conservative buyers distance themselves from Musk's political profile. Conservative social media influencers are actively encouraging the switch, calling Tesla too woke for freedom-loving Americans. Grok AI clients in retreat. 2 Fortune 100 companies, one in banking, one in healthcare, have reportedly frozen their contracts with Grok, citing upcoming FTC litigation and ethical reviews. Executives fear that an ongoing antitrust lawsuit against xAI could jeopardize compliance standards and public image. One CIO was quoted anonymously saying, "It's not about the tech, it's about risk optics." Consumer boycott ripple effect. A leaked internal dashboard from Tesla's CRM system, verified by TechCrunch, shows an 11% spike in order cancellations traced to political reasons since April. Brand monitoring firm Signal Labs confirms a sharp tone shift in online conversation. Over 62% of Tesla-related mentions in conservative forums were negative by May. Advertising fallout. Several political campaigns aligned with the GOP have moved their ad budgets away from X to Twitter and onto alternative platforms like Truth Social and Rumble. GOP ad spend on X is down 39% from the previous election cycle. For context, the 2024 cycle was projected to bring in nearly $300 million in political ad revenue to social platforms. Market segmentation. Woke AI versus Patriot AI. The Grok backlash is also fragmenting the AI landscape. Multiple consulting firms, including McKinsey, are now tracking the emergence of ideologically branded AI services. Former OpenAI engineers have even launched Red State AI, a white-labeled LLM fine-tuned for conservative policy think tanks. The market is splitting down the middle, with ethics, ideology, and regulatory posture becoming selling points. China market becomes lifeline. As U.S. consumers grow increasingly divided, Tesla is doubling down in China. Q3 earnings show 89% YoY growth in Chinese deliveries, with Model Y now the #1 EV sold in the country. Analysts say over 40% of Tesla's global deliveries may come from China by year-end. It's a risky hedge, especially as U.S. lawmakers raise national security concerns about Elon Musk's expanding ties to Shanghai. Regional policy shifts. Several red states, including Florida, Texas, and Missouri, are now reviewing Tesla's showroom permits and tax incentives. In contrast, blue states like California and New York are seeing Tesla's brand resilience among progressive consumers rise, likely due to Musk's recent re-engagement with climate policy discussions. Quantifying the risk. Projected $3.8 billion in lost Tesla sales from conservative market withdrawal over 12 months. Estimated 540 man-hours in delayed Grok licensing revenue due to enterprise hesitation. Grok's B2B lead funnel down 29% quarter-over-quarter. X's average revenue per user, ARPU, in political segments dropped from $311 to $178. In any tech empire, Alliances are your armor, and Musk's is starting to crack. As his political war bleeds across global headlines, core partners are backing away with cautious steps or full-on sprints. Cloud Plus, chip infrastructure. Oracle internally flagged its XAI cloud partnership as unstable in an internal Q1 2025 memo leaked by Insider Tech. They've frozen $340 million in infrastructure credits and are courting OpenAI and Mistral as preferred cloud-native AI partners instead. NVIDIA. In Q2 earnings call, CEO Jensen Huang avoided mentioning Grok or XAI by name, despite Musk's public requests for priority H100 allocations. Sources confirm NVIDIA has begun prioritizing Anthropic and Meta's Llama for its next GPU batch, citing visibility and stability concerns. TSMC, Taiwan's semiconductor titan, is reallocating 5nm capacity away from XAI's Dojo V3 orders. According to Nikkei Asia, TSMC is giving preferential treatment to Microsoft and Apple as lower geopolitical risk clients. Dojo timelines now reportedly face up to 9 months of delay. Financial plus debt partners. JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley, Musk's $50 billion credit facility, anchored to a basket of Tesla and SpaceX assets, is now flagged in internal compliance audits. Multiple bankers are pushing to reprice the risk premium, citing escalating reputational volatility. Collateral Watch. Tesla's stock correlation to GOP sentiment now being tracked in JPM's Political Volatility Index. Starlink's long-term government revenue now considered non-durable cash flow by Goldman Sachs. XAI's private valuation markdown, 23% in last 90 days, triggered a 6.7B write-down for one major funder, supply chain fallout Dojo Supply Network. 60% of Dojo's component suppliers, ranging from rare earth refiners to cooling systems vendors, have shifted to upfront payment terms. This marks a historic reversal from Musk's usual net 90 leverage model. Top European supplier Cryoflux terminated its thermal pipe contract entirely over political exposure. SpaceX launch insurance. Lloyd's of London has tripled premiums for all 2025 Falcon Heavy and Starship launches. This came after internal memos cited DoD contract uncertainty and public volatility of CEO as risk amplifiers. Global logistics. FedEx's Asia-Pacific unit flagged Tesla's Shanghai exports for regulatory sensitivity tracking due to increased geopolitical scrutiny. U.S. Customs and Border Protection placed XAI under enhanced review for tech export compliance freight costs for dual-use electronics. AI plus defense potential, up 28% since Q1 partner conversions, plus exits SAP and Salesforce. Both companies have quietly halted Grok API integrations after receiving client pushback during Q2 pilots. Internal Slack leaks show engineers expressing brand risk burnout related to Musk. Defense tier partners. Raytheon and Lockheed have reportedly asked Space Force to offer alternative launch providers to reduce single-vendor dependency. A shift like this would end a 12-year strategic alignment with SpaceX. Research collaborations. MIT and Stanford AI Labs placed XAI partnerships under review. NSF-backed researchers cited increased legal opacity and ethical ambiguity.